Reasons why I believe Mason prefers Scott over Kourtney and how everything has shifted drastically. Hi, before we continue, please subscribe to the channel for all Kardashians news and update. Mason Disick, the oldest child of Kourtney Kardashian and Scott Disick, seems to be choosing to stay closer to his father lately. Many people have noticed that the bond between Mason and Scott is growing stronger, while Mason appears to be pulling away from his mother, Kourtney. It's becoming more obvious as time goes on, and people are starting to wonder why this shift is happening. Some believe it's just part of growing up, but there are deeper reasons that may be driving this change. Mason's decision seems to come from his need for space, privacy, and comfort, something he may not be feeling in Kourtney's current household. Mason has always been a part of the public eye. From a young age, his life has been captured on camera, featured in television shows and social media posts. He's always been smart, funny, and full of life. He looks very much like his mother, but his personality seems to be more like his father's. While Kourtney is known for her calm and serious nature, Scott brings a lighter and more playful energy. Both parents love their children deeply, but like all parents, they have their flaws. Still, it seems that something specific pushed Mason to choose living with Scott instead of staying more often with Kourtney. That reason seems to be connected to Travis Barker. Children often want their home life to be predictable and calm. They prefer routines and familiar faces. For many years, Mason's life was filled with moments shared between his mom and dad. Even after they separated, he divided his time between their homes. But when Kourtney started dating Travis, everything changed. It was a big shift for Mason. Travis didn't just visit, he became a part of the family. And when Kourtney married him, that change became permanent. For a child who was already adjusting to having separated parents, adding a new stepfather might have been overwhelming. Scott had a hard time when Kourtney moved on with Travis. He had once hoped to get back together with her, but she made it clear that her heart was somewhere else. Scott didn't meet all of Kourtney's expectations, and eventually, she gave up on their relationship. Kourtney fell deeply in love with Travis and embraced the relationship fully, just like she once did with Scott. She always seemed to be someone who believes in love stories, and she hoped Travis would give her that fairy tale ending she had always wanted. But Travis, like Scott, had a complicated past. He had a history of not always being the best partner, and even though he claimed to have changed, it's hard to ignore how similar he is to Scott in some ways. Kourtney seems to have a pattern when it comes to love. She is drawn to a certain type of man, and that type has not always led to healthy or stable relationships. The difference now is that while Scott is Mason's father, Travis is not. That makes the dynamic much more difficult for Mason to accept. Kourtney and Travis have shown a lot of affection for each other in public. They're not shy about showing their love, which has drawn mixed reactions. Some people admire their bond, while others, possibly including Mason, find it a bit too much. As a teenage boy, it's easy to imagine that he feels awkward or even embarrassed watching his mother be so affectionate with someone who isn't his dad. This kind of public display of closeness can be uncomfortable for a child, especially at an age where they're starting to want more space and independence. Since the marriage, Kourtney and Travis have welcomed a new baby, Rocky. While a new sibling is usually a happy occasion, it could make Mason feel even more left out. He may feel like he doesn't belong in the new version of his mother's family, where there is a new husband, a new baby, and a very different environment. Travis changed the entire setup of Kourtney's household, and Mason might just want to return to the simpler times when it was just him, his siblings, and his parents. There's also the possibility that Mason feels protective of his father. He knows that Scott still has feelings for Kourtney, and it's possible that seeing his mom with someone else bothers him more than he lets on. Travis may not be a bad person, but for Mason, he could feel like a rival to his dad. That emotional pull could be enough to make Mason prefer staying with Scott, where he doesn't have to deal with any of those mixed feelings. Kourtney and Travis may truly be happy together, and maybe they have found the kind of love they were both looking for. But for Mason, it's not about whether their relationship is real or loving. It's about how it affects him. He's at an age where he is becoming more aware of how he feels and what kind of energy he wants around him. At 14, Mason is in a stage of life where he's trying to figure out who he is, and that means choosing the space that makes him feel most comfortable. Living with Scott may feel easier. Scott, in many ways, is like a big kid. He loves luxury, flashy things, and having fun. He's not the most disciplined parent, but he might be more relaxed and fun to be around. For a teen like Mason, that kind of atmosphere can feel more inviting. There are fewer rules, more jokes, and maybe more understanding of what it's like to want to be independent. Mason may enjoy that freedom and feel more seen and understood by his dad. Kourtney, on the other hand, is very focused on structure. She has clear rules about how things should be in the house, what food to eat, how the home should look, and how to live a clean and healthy lifestyle. She's also very wrapped up in her current relationship. Her style, personality, and focus have shifted a lot to match Travis. From her clothes to her music taste, it seems like she's fully stepped into a new version of herself. While that's her choice, it could feel like a big change to Mason, who might not connect with this new side of his mother. Mason might also be experiencing something deeper. He could have a gut feeling about Travis that he can't explain. Maybe he just doesn't trust him. Or maybe he simply doesn't like having someone else step into a role that once belonged only to his dad. On top of that, there's now a new baby in the picture. Mason might be feeling replaced or pushed aside. He might be missing the days when his mom's attention was more focused on him and his siblings. As a teenager, watching your parents become public figures for their romantic lives can be strange. Mason may feel embarrassed when he sees his mom kissing Travis in front of cameras or on social media. He's growing up and becoming more private, so the constant attention could be too much for him. That could be another reason why he's staying out of the spotlight and choosing to spend more time with his dad, who also shares some of that desire to escape public attention. On the other hand, Scott might be encouraging Mason to stay with him. It's not uncommon for parents to pull their children closer during breakups or after a divorce, even if it's not intentional. Scott definitely loves his kids, and he may feel more complete when Mason is around. This type of tug-of-war happens a lot in families after a breakup, especially when one parent feels like they've lost more than the other. Mason's choice to live with his dad doesn't mean he doesn't love his mom. It just means that he's trying to do what's best for himself right now. Kourtney, being a loving mother, understands that. Real love means letting someone do what brings them peace and happiness. If Mason feels more comfortable with Scott, then Kourtney will let him go because she wants him to be okay. That kind of love is powerful, even when it's painful. In the future, Mason might choose to come back to Kourtney's house. Thanks for watching. Please do well to share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more Kardashian updates.